And while the CRPF is a very integral part of the entire law and order situation and overall law and order uh, arrangements that we have for the state, there are, of course, overall concerns, and the fact that they never were given a permanent site led to this temporary site becoming kind of a long-term permanent location for the CRPF. And the purpose for which this land was initially identified could never be ultimately taken up. So, in between all of this, there have been some concerns and some issues that have been raised up by the locality also. And time and again, there have been different situations where the entire situation got a bit strained, I should say. And hence, this has been going on and on for many months, many years and decades, I'm sorry. So therefore, after discussion with a lot of the local leadership, local MDC, and with the Rangbah Shnongs, and of course with the CRPF and the police department and the home department, we figured out how to, we discussed and we tried to figure out how we could kind of find a solution to this entire kind of a situation in a phase-wise manner, where we could have more or less a win-win situation for everyone. And that's when this discussion, almost about a year and a half back, we started a discussion with all the stakeholders that were involved. And while we went forward, the CRPF had requested and said that for so many years, the CRPF has been giving dedicated service to the state, and hence they've always wanted a permanent location, but the state government was never able to give them a permanent location. And hence the discussion started with that if a permanent location is given, then for CRPF also it makes complete sense to slowly and steadily shift most of their different companies which are present in different parts of Shillong city and put them in a permanent site. And of course, the normal deployment of manpower for normal law and order situations are there, which is bare minimum. But the overall place and the overall camp would be something then that would shift to a permanent location. And hence, we felt that and we realized that if that is done, then we will be able to ensure that most of the areas in which the CRPF presence is there, and they are in all different locations scattered, all in temporary locations, all in very dilapidated conditions. And even CRPF is in a way facing a lot of challenges and difficulties because the living conditions in these camps also are not that good. You know, it made a lot of sense to then finally figure out on how we could give a permanent location, and then we would construct, and of course CRPF would construct a proper camp and proper stay and barracks and everything for their manpower, which would be, of course, something that would be a win-win situation for them. And at the same time, the shifting of the camps from these locations would then allow the government to take up more different kind of important social activities, cultural activities, youth-related activities in those localities where the camps were present, and utilize those lands for different kind of productive purposes for the state and the people. And hence this entire exercise started. And at the same time, we as a government, we have been working towards figuring out how we can decongest the city in the long run. And we have felt that the only way to, in the medium and short and the long run, to be able to decongest the city is to shift the entire government machinery and the secretariat away from the main Shillong part, and hence the process of a new administrative city, also the discussion started in that line. And after looking at different locations and different areas, even purchasing a lot of land also in order to build it up, we realized that it cannot be too far away from the current city also. So therefore, some plans were made to shift it to Mopadang area and way out in the side of the bypass of Shillong. And though we can shift some bigger offices in terms of offices of different agencies and departments, but the main secretariat will have to be somewhere closer. And hence, then again, the process started of us looking at identifying areas and lands where we could then finally shift the secretariat and the main offices and also the main bungalows of officials, of ministers, MLAs, somewhere that is closer to Shillong but away from Shillong, and somewhere which is closer to the new assembly and the new Shillong township, which is already coming up. And hence the process of actually then looking at the lands available with the government of Meghalaya, the process started. And we realized after studying the entire map that if we are able to mix and match and shift certain areas, take certain lands from certain departments back, give other departments land in some other location, we were able to come up with a land of contiguous land of about 150 acres and another plot of about 90 acres just next to the IIM Shillong. So in IIM would be in the center, and on both sides there was 150 acre on the left side and about 90 acres on the right side. So that's about 240 acres land was identified where we could possibly shift the secretariat and the main offices. And from security point of view and everything, we further went on to realize that while we are looking at land for the CRPF, hence in this 240 acres of government land where we are planning to shift the secretariat and the different government official bungalows, that the CRPF, if it is in that location, so hence, as I said, the secretariat will be there, all the government major departments, offices will be there, and the chief minister's bungalow, all the other ministers' bungalows, all the senior officials' bungalows will be there, right there next to it, that if CRPF comes in, then from a security aspect also, then it makes a lot of sense. So when we look at these three areas, the concerns of Mawlai and the people of Mawlai area, and the fact that this land is something that is meant for art and culture purpose and for the youth, then looking at the fact that CRPF requires a permanent location, and hence we need to give them a permanent location, which they have not got for a long time. And if you look at the fact that the government of Meghalaya is planning to shift the secretariat away from Shillong city, closer to Shillong, but not really within Shillong, and this area of 240 acres being there, if these three aspects were to be connected, then the whole picture comes out in front of you. And with this kind of a move, we are actually having a win-win situation for everybody, from the government to CRPF and obviously to the people of Mawlai and Shillong city as a whole. So this is really what is working out, and this is the master plan of the whole thing, which took us about a year and a half to do. And that's the reason why we could not immediately come out with a solution earlier. But I'm happy to share this with you, that this is the master plan, and the process of doing all of this has started now. And we are hopeful that in the days to come, we will slowly and steadily start the process of actual shifting and create some investments here. We are just after this meeting, we'll be going just behind and seeing the amphitheater out there. And the Honorable MDC has requested that if government can invest and renovate this amphitheater, and we could slowly start having activities out here, that'll be good. So I will just go and check the location. And more importantly, our plan is to ensure that while we do that, we want to ensure that in this property, which is meant for art and culture, we would like to see that in the future, some programs like museums about the art and culture of our state should come up here. But also at the same time, since it's a huge plot, we are very keen to have programs of skill development. We're very keen to have programs of Prime, which is an entrepreneurship program that we have. So we plan to have a Prime hub out here, which would then allow the entrepreneurs who would like to open their own businesses that they deserve. At the same time, there is also a discussion with different stakeholders that if you can have small scale industries, units also coming up here, like call centers, which are coming up in other parts of the city, especially in the IT park. So all these are being examined, but we will see which one will fit in. But the entire idea will be to create some kind of a youth center and and activities related to the youth. more importantly, and to culture. And of course, we will discuss with the headmans and with local representatives before we take a final decision on which activities would be most desirable by the people of the locality and the area. But while we say that, obviously, as a government, law and order also is something that we can't compromise on. And it's important that the government has presence of the law and order machinery, and therefore there will be that presence, in the required numbers in different areas that are there, which of course we will work out. Those areas and numbers are not with me right now, but we cannot compromise on law and order also. So therefore, law and order will be an integral part of the entire plan and policy and the strategy we'll take. But as I said, the overall picture of this particular plot and ensuring that we're able to utilize this in the best manner for the benefit of the people, that will of course be taken forward. But as I said, factors like time, how to move forward in it, ensuring that the land is immediately has been handed over. They have to take permission from MHA as to approve it. So that process is taking some time, but we expect that it should be done very, very soon. And of course, then we have to also see the infrastructure that the CRPF will have to create in order to shift the manpower that is required to be shifted. So all these plans have to be worked out in the short run and the medium, short term and the medium term. And those areas are something that, of course, we cannot give a specific date that will happen on this day or that day. But of course, we will see that slowly. We will see that some of the manpower that is there in those areas also, they will require some people to shift. So we will see that process also happening. I would like to, of course, came in 1978, so that's 44 years back, and hence it's not something that can happen like overnight. So the plans and the programs are in place, and we are already working towards ensuring that this does go to its logical conclusion. But I request that everybody should work together. We need the cooperation of everybody to make this possible and to ensure that there is a win-win situation for everyone. And at this point in time, I would like to thank Madam Sonal Mishra ji, our IG, who has been very, very cooperative in this entire discussion. And without her involvement and without her stand and the entire support that she gave, I don't think we'd be able to come to this point.